Hey guys, it is Mike from Baltimore Rides. It is Tuesday the 17th. This is not my wrap-up video, but I'm actually going to do the video a little bit early tonight for a couple weird reasons, but I'll go over them in brief. So, I took the Uber lease to Firestone, one of the warranty service centers that I can use for the repair work yesterday, and they kept it most of the day, but couldn't get the parts they needed from Hyundai. So I needed a strut, a front axle, and something else. So I have to drop it back off tomorrow morning. They'll have the parts in, and hopefully they'll do the work quickly so I can get on the road tomorrow. So that being said, I'm going to probably get off the road a little bit earlier than normal tonight because I have to be alive. I have to be mentally alive to be able to drop this thing off early in the morning. So that being said, where I am as of 11 p.m., I'm somewhere in the $120 range. So this weird new rush hour $3 per ride incentive was kind of neat. I got $12 out of it, 4 trips. So, in rush hour, that's realistic. I mean, it's 2 hours, but it takes 30 minutes to get across town. So, I did a couple pool rides, and I was expecting each pool passenger to count as a trip, but I guess not with pools. So, it's new. We're all learning this new incentive together. Because I was hoping to make bank because most of my trips during rush hour were pool rides, but apparently that is not the case. But an extra $12 for work that I was already doing is fine by me. I'm not expecting to break bank tonight. Like I said, my Tuesday goal is usually $150. 30 more bucks should be pretty easy to come by. And, I do want to just talk about one thing briefly, because it's a little bit frustrating. And a couple things have happened of late that I've been stewing in my mind because I wasn't really ready to talk about them. So there's an Uber Lyft DC group on Facebook that I'm a member of. And I like it. It's interesting. I get a lot of good ideas from it. There's a lot of funny stuff that we all share with each other. And every now and then there's kind of serious stuff, whether it's complaining about a driver, complaining about a passenger, complaining about something sketchy that Uber, the company, did, whatever. It's an opportunity for somebody to kind of vent and or tip us off as to something that maybe affects us all. So over the past couple weeks, I've noticed a couple things. And I'm not really sure 100% why. I've noticed there's a select group of people that like to post their earnings online. They like to snap pictures of how much they've made and throw it up on this Facebook group. And I guess it's for some sort of sense of acknowledgement, or, they want an attaboy or a pat on the back for a good job done. And I'm okay with that. If you're putting up big numbers on the board, I'm okay with people making more money than me. There are drivers out there making a lot more money with me. My frustration with those folks that do that, however, is that they get very defensive or evasive or irritated when you question the basic math. When they'll put a snapshot up of an earnings for the week of whatever, $1,600, and when you ask them how many hours actual drive time is that, or how many days a week, or what hours did you drive, all of a sudden they become very defensive about you asking them. And I'm not like an interrogator. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but if people are having good results, I want to know why. I'm the scientific method kind of guy. I want to understand it. So if you're putting up numbers that are significantly higher than me, I think it's fair for me to ask, hey, are you Uber Black, Uber XL, Uber, X? What type of vehicle are you driving? How many days a week are you driving? How many hours a week? Like, those are all fair things for me to ask. They're not me being doubting Thomas. I'm not saying you didn't do what you did. You have a screenshot. I'm just saying, let's find out how you got there. So there's those people out there. And I think this kind of harkens back to conversations I had when I was driving in Baltimore and when I was driving at the airport, BWI predominantly, there's a group of drivers out there that want to keep everything close to their chest. They don't want to share, whether they think it's trade secrets or whether they're doing something, whatever, or just whether they feel like, I don't know. I'm not really sure. If you said to me, hey, I did $1,600, but I drove 80 hours that week to get there, and you're okay with driving 80 hours, great. Just let me know the math. Because if you're driving, 100 hours, then I can say, okay, let's back it out and let's see what every 10 hours or every 50 hours or whatever. Let me just do some math in my head to make sense of that. Or if I ask you what type of vehicle you're driving, are you driving an Uber Black? Well, that's because the rate is much higher, and maybe $1,600 is shitty, pardon my language, for an Uber Black driver. I don't know. I don't know the comparison because I'm not an Uber Black driver. So that's why, again, I'm just trying to understand. So my reason for talking about this is I'm kind of an oddity. And I feel like I'm kind of an oddity because I'm willing to talk about this stuff, the math, the formula, the plan, what goes into being successful. I'm using myself as an example, for good or for bad. Hopefully some of you guys will go on to be more successful than I am. Some of you guys might work better hours, might work different shifts, might work whatever, and might supersede my numbers. I'm okay with that. My numbers are based around my goals. They're not Uber's goals or somebody else's goals. They're just what I want to do. And that's fine. If you say to yourself, I want to do 1,600 a week, and you put in the right amount of hours or the right amount of days or whatever to get there, that's great. But it's this concept amongst drivers that anyone who asks how or why or how much is all of a sudden, breaking code or breaking rank with us as a team. I don't think that's the case at all, guys. So, if I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the fact that I want to be transparent and I want to be able to talk about everything truly with you guys, for good or for bad. And that's the other piece to it is, in addition to just these people that post profits and then are evasive or defensive about talking about them, there's also the group of people that post stuff that's, kind of like, I'm going to use Trump's, good old Trump, I'm going to use Trump's like fake news. Like, they post things that didn't really happen, or they post, excessive stories of damages to their vehicle that really didn't happen. And again, an example came up the other day on Facebook where a woman did something, a passenger did something that was kind of shady, not to the Uber driver, but just in general. And the Uber driver, kind of did the right thing and helped that person, get what was coming to him, karma. And so I'm not going to go into details because it's a long, complicated story. But the other drivers on the group kind of villainized that driver, like, oh, you're a snitch, or you're a rat, or you shouldn't have done that, or you should just mind your own business, or whatever. And to me, that's not who I am. Like, I applaud anybody out there that's driving that has morals and values and feels like, doing the right thing is the right way to do things. because too often in life, and this is not just about Uber, too often in life, you're going to get to that point where there's that line, and it's tempting to cross it. It's tempting to cross it. It's very tempting to step over that line, but it's very hard to step back. And, you know, I don't know if I've told you guys anytime recently or in the past, but I used to be a mortgage broker a long, long time ago when the housing industry was going crazy in the early 2000s before the bubble burst. And, you know, back then there were all these shady loans. There were loans that, you know, adjustable rate, you know, no income documentation required, no job required, like all these weird loans that just would not exist in today's world, that were horrible. And, you know, but people were eating them up. Customers wanted houses, but they couldn't really prove how much they made. And, you know, loan officers wanted to make loans because they wanted to make the commission check, and the real estate appraisers wanted to get paid, so they would appraise houses at kind of shady values. And the whole industry was corrupt. The whole industry was dirty. And I was in it. And I'm not going to lie, guys, I was part of that process. I got so hooked on the money and how much you could make, and, you know, that kind of, I did. I stepped over that line, and I regret it to this day. It's one of the greatest regrets in my life, is that I made that, you know, I crossed that line, and it was very hard to cross back. And when the housing market burst, I was so, in a sense, it was kind of like catharsis. It was a way for me to really just, you know, not necessarily wash away my sins, but walk away from an industry that I felt dirty from. And I feel like to this day, you know, my goal now, I'm 40 years old, is to make the world a better place, is to do, even if it's just little shit, pardon my language, but little things matter. And this is one of those little things, guys. Me helping you guys at no benefit to myself is one of those little things. I gain no money from this. I gain no extra rides, no extra income, no nothing. This costs me nothing, and I get nothing from it monetarily. You know, I don't. I just do it because it's good karma, and it's something that I want to do, and I want to share. I want to help. And I feel like with this whole Uber industry, you know, there's an opportunity here. There's definitely a growth opportunity for a lot of us to get better. So I just, you know, I'm kind of at a watermark moment where I like being part of the Uber, you know, Facebook forum, because there's some fun stuff that comes out of it. But there's a lot of things posted and a lot of comments left that just really, really frustrate me. Because there's a lot of drivers out there that have crossed that line and feel like it's okay. And then when someone takes the high road, the moral high road, and doesn't cross the line with them, they ostracize that person, or they look at that person with a level of disdain. You know, and that's the frustrating thing to me. So, you know, I wanted to vent. This is kind of a venting video. There's really not a whole lot of technical data tonight. But, you know, whoever you are out there, and there's a lot of you guys watching me. There's 50-something subscribers now, which I think is amazing. It's a lot to me. You know, I don't know who you guys are. I don't know what your take on that gray line is. You know, that line that you can step over. I don't, you know, but, you know, if you're out there and you believe in karma or fate or any of those types of things, you know, theological, religious, whatever you want to call it, I believe in fate, truly, and I do believe in karma. And I think that, you know, you do the right thing. It may be a harder road. You may have to work a little bit harder to do the right thing, but in the long run, it's worth it. And, you know, that's my 2 cents on that, guys. It's a tricky one, but, you know, like I said, I've been thinking about it for a while, but, you know, it's on my mind. And there's a lot of you guys that I've talked to fairly regularly out there that are doing the right thing. And you guys are working smart, working hard, you have your, your head in the right place, you're goal oriented, you're thinking, you're playing the smart game, you're working the right way, and I applaud all of you guys for doing that. There's a lot of new drivers out there that are just getting started, just figuring this stuff out for themselves. And if we, and I say we as a group, if we come across somebody that's a new driver, we need to take them under our wing, and we need to, make sure that we're pointing them in the right direction and not the wrong direction. Because it only does us a disservice. It's bad karma, but it also hurts our industry. When I hear about bad drivers or shady drivers, it only hurts our industry. It hurts our reputation because we are the drivers. We are Uber or Lyft. Corporate is corporate, but at the end of the day, what do passengers talk about? They don't talk about corporate Uber. They don't give a crap about corporate Uber. They talk about that driver that did X, Y, and Z. That driver that took them the long way around town. That driver that, canceled their ride because of this. Or that driver that wouldn't bring their phone back that they left in their car. Whatever. They talk about bad driver stories. They don't talk about corporate Uber because they don't really care about corporate Uber. It's in the media. Yeah, the media likes to sensationalize it. But ultimately, their personal experiences are going to be based around us, the drivers. And that's the reality, guys. We are Uber. We represent the brand. That brand is us. And every day you get behind the wheel, every time your passenger door opens and somebody gets in, just remember that. They're going to go home at the end of the night and they're going to talk about your ride, and they're either going to talk about your ride in a positive way or a negative way. And that was a lesson I learned a long time ago when I went into management, was that, you're going to be the subject of dinner conversation. You're going to be the subject of dinner conversation. You may not think it, but you will be. Whether it's funny, whether it's sad, whether it's frustrating, whatever the case may be, they're going to talk about you guys and me. They're going to talk about me. And they're going to talk about you in a positive way or a negative way, based upon the way you treat them and the way you represent all of us. So just think about that. When that gray line, when that line comes up to you and you have to make a decision, do I step over it or don't I? Just think about that. Okay, guys, I'm going to sign off. I'm not done for the night, but I'm kind of heading in the homeward direction. If I get any rides, I get them. If I don't, I don't, because I do need to. I need to be up early in the morning to drop the car off at the shop. So I will be back on the road tomorrow, hopefully at a fairly normal time, and we will get back at it tomorrow, guys. But thank you guys for being with me. Thank you guys for watching my videos, for leaving feedback and questions, and reaching out to me, letting me know how you're doing. It really means a lot to me, guys. This is not something I'm doing for money. This is something I'm doing because it feels right. And I know it's right every time I hear somebody that's doing well. That tells me that what I'm doing is the right thing. So thank you guys, and have a great night.